In this video, we're going to talk about generating equivalent expressions, and we're going to do that by focusing on distributing those expressions. So first, let's take a look at these problems here. So what they tell me is I need to start with the parentheses, and so inside my parentheses here, I have 3 plus 11, which gives me 14. And if we notice, there is no symbol between, or no operation symbol between the 6 and the parentheses. And that always means multiplication. And so my problem here becomes 6 multiplied by 14, which gives me a total of 84. So same thing here. Inside the parentheses, I have 9 plus 2, which gives me 11. And then again, no symbol here or no operation. So that again is multiplication. So this becomes 5 multiplied by 11 or 55. And again, inside the parentheses here, I have 8 minus 4. And so that gives me 4. Again, no operation symbol. So that's multiplication. So here I have 2 multiplied by 4, which gives me 8. So now let's talk a little bit about this distributive property. So the distributive property allows us to multiply each term inside the parentheses by the number outside the parentheses. So let's take a look at this. So here I have 7 plus 4 multiplied by 5. And I have my area model to represent my multiplication. So here's my 5, which is outside the parentheses. And here's my 4 and my 7 that are inside the parentheses. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to distribute or hand out or pass out the 5 to my 4, and I'm going to pass that to my 7 because this says I have 5 groups of everything that is inside this parentheses. So I have 5 groups or 5 times 4, which would give me a total of 20. And then I have 5 groups of 7, or I have 5 times 7, which gives me a total of 35. So again, when I look down here, my 5 is outside. So that means that I have 5 groups of 4. So 4 times 5. I have 5 groups of 7, which would be 7 times 5. And so when I do that, 4 times 5 is 20, which is the same thing that I had right here. 7 times 5 is 35, which is the same thing that I had right here. And notice that I am adding, and that is what I'm doing up here. And 20 plus 35 gives me a total amount of 55. And so if I look back here at my expression, and again, inside the parentheses would be 11. And again, no symbol here, so that's multiplication. And so I'm multiplying it times 5. 11 times 5 is 55. So 55 here, 55 here means that I have an equivalent expression. So here's another problem. Again, my 7 is on the outside, which means that is what I am distributing or passing out to each number inside the parentheses. So that means I'm going to take 7 groups of 5. So I'd have 7 times 5, which would give me 35. And then I'm going to have 7 groups of 9. So 7 times 9, which gives me an amount of 63. So if I come down here to my expression, same thing. 7 groups of 5 would give me 35. And then 7 groups of 9 would give me 63. And again, notice that they are adding here, and we're adding here. Here's my 35. Here's my 35. Here's my 63. Here's my 63. So 35 plus 63 gives me a total amount of 98. And if I look over here, I have 5 plus 9, which gives me 14. And again, distributing, saying that I have 7 groups of everything that's in this parentheses would say 7 times 14. And that also gives me 98, 98, 98. So these two are equivalent expressions. So let's take a look at this. So again, distributing the 4, because that is on the outside of the parentheses, to each number inside the parentheses. So 4 multiplied by 3, and then 4 multiplied by 4. And again, I'm adding here. So I'd have my addition sign between those two groups. 4 times 3 is 12, plus 4 times 4 is 16. And when I add those two together, I get 28. Similarly, as if I take 4 and multiply it by everything that's inside the parentheses here, which would give me a total of 7, and that gives me 28. 28, 28, same amount. So I know that those two are equivalent expressions. So if I take a look here, I'm taking my 11 and distributing it to each number inside the parentheses. So 11 times 6, and again, addition. And then I take 11 times 4. And so 11 times 6 is 66, plus 11 times 4, which is 44. And when I take 66 plus 44, I get an amount of 110. So if I take a look here, 11 multiplied by what is inside the parentheses, which would be 10. 11 times 10 is 110. And so I have 110 here, 110 here. So again, I know that those two are equivalent expressions. Now, I have this situation. So I have, again, 7 groups of m plus 2. Well, in this case, I have a variable of m, which changes things just a little bit. So having a variable and not knowing what that value is, I cannot combine it with the 2. So they have to stay separate values. And that changes a little bit of what I will do when I'm using my distributive property. So again, here's my 5. So I'm distributing it to the 3n. So that says I have 5 groups of 3n, or 5 times 3 gives me 15n. And then I am distributing the 5 to the 2. And so I would have 5 times 2, which would give me 10. So now if I use that with my expression, so distributing the 5 to the 3n, so that would be 5 times 3n, which again, 5 times 3 is 15, and then the n. So here's my 15n, here's my 15n, and then I would take 5 times 2, and that would give me 10. So here's my 10, and here's my 10. And again, I'm adding. But now I have 15n here and 10 here. And like it said, I cannot combine those two because I don't know what this value of n is. So my final answer for this, or this expression simplified down, would be 15n plus 10. And that's as far as I can go with that. If I take a look at this one, again, taking my outside number, which is the 7, and I'm distributing it to the a. And if I just have an a, remember that is 1a. So that is 7 groups of a. And so that gives me 7a. And then I am distributing it to the 9. But again, notice that it's subtraction. So that's where this negative part comes in. So let's do 7 times 9 would give me 63. But since I'm subtracting, we'll bring that subtraction sign here and make it a negative 63. So now let's look at my expression here. So it's the very same thing. Distribute the 7 to the a, so 7 times a, which gives me 7a. And then I distribute the 7 to the 9, which would give me 7 times 9, which is 63. Here's my subtraction. So I subtract here. And then again, because I don't know what the value of a is, this is as simple as I can make this expression. So my final answer would be 7a minus 63. So now we have this problem here. Again, going to distribute the 2 to everything inside the parentheses. So I take 2 and multiply it by w. And then again, I'm adding. And then I would take 2 and multiply it by 6. So in this case, it would be 2 times 1 because I just have a w. So that would be 2w plus 2 multiplied by 6 would give me 12. So this would be my final answer. It's as simple as I can make it because, again, I don't know what this W is, so I can't combine those two. Here I have 12. I'm going to distribute it to the 5b. So that gives me 12 times 5b. And again, adding. And then I'm going to distribute the 12 to the 12. So 12 times 12. So again, 12 times 5 would give me 60. And then the b, so 60b plus 12 times 12, which is 144. And again, because I have the variable here, I can't combine these two. So 60b plus 144 is as simple as I can make this answer.